Coming up, Discover Ghostlahoma. We'll visit an historic inn that boasts ghosts, lose ourselves in a forest haunted by its history, go in search of school spirits at OU, find mystery bottled in a haunted winery, gobble up ghost tales and classic cooking in Beeville, plus roll back the time in a vintage DOK adventure. Come with us to Discover Ghostlahoma.
Welcome to a special Halloween edition of Discover Oklahoma. We're calling it Discover Ghostlahoma. Hi, I'm Dean O'Lally.
And I'm Lauren Nelson. This week we're scaring up destinations that go bump in the night.
And what better place to tell ghost stories than around the campfire?
That's right.
And we have some good ones for you coming up. But our first paranormal promenade will take us to downtown Norman. It's a haunted tour Brian Boone and I discovered that delivers as much history as mystery. Ghost tours can offer chills and thrills, but they can also give insight into the history of a place and the famous or not so famous people who lived or worked there, and just possibly still do.
You guys ready to hear a ghost story? Or 12?
Jeff Provine's Norman Ghost Tours start at the James Garner Sculpture and then weave a tale of mystery and history through downtown.
And we walk down to the depot and talk about some of the older stories, like one of Al Capone's lieutenants who settled here in Norman, and buried treasure legends out at Lake Thunderbird. Then we head down Main Street talking about the Sooner Theater and the Midway Barbershop. So with each of the stories, I really want to give the context. So who are the figures within these stories in Norman? We start even before the land run and kind of see the town develop and different businesses and how they came into being.
The tales of ghostly intrigue at the Midway Barbershop appear to be a cut above in terms of popularity. According to owner Steve Luffelholtz, this has been a family-owned shop since the building opened in 1893. He says the strange happenings began after one of the 5 original building owners was found dead behind this door. Steve worked with his father here and shared a few of the mysterious happenings on the darker side of this colorful barber's pole.
There was only 2 people that have keys to the shop. It was me and my father. For one example, we used to have a popcorn popper that sat in the back of the barber shop. And when we come back, the popcorn popper was blocking the doorway for us to get in.
The barber tools also tended to get snipped.
When you come in the next morning, you may be missing clipper, comb, shears, and you would never find them till maybe 3, 4 months, 6 months later.
Jeff also goes in search of school spirits on the OU campus, where he shares tales of ghostly students and professors.
We walk by Holmberg Hall, where Professor Mildred Henders Bogus still comes and drops in on student performances, and they say you can see her up in the balcony. And then, of course, back over to the library to talk about the famous library ghost, the most popular ghost on campus.
This is my first time to ever do a ghost tour, so I was kind of fascinated and just impressed at the same time.
It's a lot of fun if you like walking around and getting the history of weird stuff that happened here in Norman.
Say boomer to your own haunted Norman tour. We'll have all the horrific specifics at travelok.com/hauntednorman. Now get ready to eat, drink, and be scary.
Our next frightful destination takes us to Sulphur, where the folks at Flower Buff Manor serve up spine tingles alongside their Angus steaks.
Resident ghost writer Shel Wagner has an appetite for apparitions, so she and videographer Tommy Evans crept on over to see the place for themselves and captured a destination they are dying to show you.
Poised within the foothills of the ancient Arbuckle Mountains and the Cross Timbers region, and shouldering the Chickasaw National Recreation Area, Flower Buff Manor, the historical home of former Mayor and Sheriff Jesse Denton Ramsey, is currently an elegant restaurant and bed and breakfast inn.
I didn't know it was haunted when we first got it. They just appear. I mean, music will come on, doors will shut, shadows will show.
That's Linda Davis, current living lady of the house and mastermind behind Flower Buff Manor's current iteration. She's talking about the other lady of the house, Sophia, the one who isn't alive.
I had one boy that was working with me. Both of us were shining the silverware, And then we both looked into this room. And then we both looked down and we kept shining. He goes, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And we just kept shining because it was like, okay, she's in the living room.
In addition to the see-through guests, the house hums with happy living customers as well, relaxing in the comfortable and unique B&B bedrooms upstairs and savoring Linda's from-scratch dishes.
So everything's homemade. I want it to taste like you're at your grandma's house.
The bourbon burger, all the guys' favorites in our house. They have the biggest hamburgers I've ever seen in my life.
And oh my gosh, the stuffed mushrooms.
I just cook with my soul. I just put the ingredients in there and it just comes out. Our chicken fries, they're really good. Our fillets are very good. I'm really picky on those and the cut of our fillets. And the music just came on. If you guys hear, our music just started. Yes, right behind him, our music just came back on. And if I don't acknowledge it, he's going to raise the music up, and he'll make it louder here in a minute. But yeah, Mr. Ramsey will turn the music on if he's wanting to be known. So he's in here somewhere.
That door just slams it shut. Like, nobody was near it, nobody's up here but us.
If I go to the very back, I'll start feeling like pushing on me and everything. Yeah, so that's kind of, it's a little creepy, but I just kind of deal with it.
I've had one cook that was in the kitchen and he was in there by himself and the rug had slid across the floor and he didn't last much longer after that.
On the evening we visited, the Afterlife Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma team was strategically setting the stage with gadgets and specialized technology to communicate with some of the home's unseen residents.
I've gotten a lot of really good EVPs from here. Electric voice phenomenon. Pretty creepy, actually.
Brooke Montoya is the leader and founder of this group and handpicked the investigative team from a field of applicants. She also chose Flower Buff Manor for its frequent activity as the team's headquarters for this year's world's largest ghost hunt, a worldwide paranormal investigation that takes place simultaneously across the globe.
Because this place is so amazing, it's a local treasure in Oklahoma, and even though we've been here 3 or 4 times, we just can't share it with everybody enough.
We on our team tend to honestly try to debunk everything before we do any saying, oh yes, this is 100% paranormal.
I tiptoed into the doll room. Yes, I said the doll room. Why? Alongside the team and Discover Oklahoma videographer Tommy Evans with his camera at the ready. On the edge of the room were toys, placed there to attract the interest of the resident child ghost who is also named Tommy.
We're maybe assuming around like 7, 8 is what he feels like. Very playful.
But on this night, we waited. We coaxed.
Can you lift up the ladder?
We bribed.
We will give you a big cheer.
The team said Ghost Tommy's bashfulness was unusual and wondered what gives. They decided to use Ghost Hunting Tools, which is a special app, to see if they could receive a text from the ghost. What's that? You didn't know ghosts sent texts? Huh. Well, it didn't take long for Ghost Tommy to air his grievance toward our Discover Oklahoma crew. No cameras. Well, grown-up Tommy and I can certainly take a hint, so we packed up our gear and left the experts to continue their spirited good work. All in all, it was a fascinating day, one full of history and intrigue, and a dinner so fabulous I'm certain it will haunt me. In Sulphur, for Discover Oklahoma, I'm Shel Wagner.
Dine with the dearly departed at Flower Buff Manor's Steakhouse and Restaurant. You'll find spirited hospitality Tuesday through Saturday evenings. We'll link you up at travelok.com/flowerbluff so you can book a table or a stay.
Ugh, you can count me out of staying in that doll room.
Well, I doubt if I would rest in peace, but maybe I would permanently. But do you know the best place to hide from ghosts?
I have a feeling the dad in you is about to tell me.
That's right. The living room, of course.
I've got deja vu.
Oh, man.
While you're in Sulphur, why not wander over to another spot where spirits dwell, including the sippable kind?
That's still ahead. Plus, we'll brave an eerie forest planted with a purpose that was once deadly serious.
And later, we'll head for Bartlesville for some ghosts and some goblin. Be right back.
There are some things you just can't contain. Oklahoma Today magazine is bursting with culture. Mind-blowing restaurants, trips, adventures, and so much more. Open your copy, then hit the open road. Unleash your curiosity. Set your spirit free. Subscribe today for only $14.95. Oklahoma Today magazine. Break through the ordinary.
Welcome back to Discover Ghostlahoma.
We're trick-or-treating around the state, scaring up destinations that are spooktacular.
And our next stop is sure to feed both your appetite and your imagination. Tina McGarry and Brian Boone shined a flashlight on an historic Sulphur hotspot, one that has cold spots and boasts not one, but two kinds of spirits.
Sit down for a sip and stay a while at the Rusty Nail Winery in Sulphur. This boutique winery offers a relaxed ambiance and a delicious variety of wines.
Well, we make wine and we make people happy.
Deborah Alexander is the master winemaker of her family business. 28 varieties of wine, every bottle made in-house. Last month alone, she made 5,000 bottles.
This whole wall is our fruit-infused wines, so they're going to all be sweet. And you start out with the ice wine down there, which the only time you can make that wine is when the grapes first freeze, because they're real concentrated in sugar. So it is a dessert wine and it's very sweet. And then the whites, the blushes, the reds, and then that back wall has all of our dry wines on it.
I come at least once or twice a week.
Regulars like Wendy Thompson love the atmosphere. A tasty, dry white wine brought her in today.
It's pretty good. I like it.
What do you like?
So that's a Chardonnay. I really like the Chardonnays. Honestly, I love their sweeter wines. I'm trying to be healthy right now, so I'm going with the Chardonnay, but whatever you really like, they're here for. If you're a beginner or if you're like more advanced into wine, they have a little something for everyone.
And I just love these labels. Isn't this pretty? This is Lincoln Bridge. It's right here in Sulphur. This is one of 9 wines in the new Landmark collection.
But this old building has a spooky tale to tell. You see, folks around here say the Rusty Nail serves up more than wine. You might get booze, as in the ghostly kind, like one woman did.
She said that she just felt this presence just pushing her down. And she said she had to sit down.
Did you know there's a ghost here?
I did.
How did you know?
Well, you see, you can go upstairs and you can kind of feel it. It's kind of weird. I am not a huge fan of this, or I'm a little nervous about it, but it's real.
Loads of laughs, great drinks, and a variety of delicious appetizers and food. Charles Wright calls the Rusty Nail soulful.
Generally speaking, you know, there's a couple of wines that I guess I ask for those more than others because they kind of know what I want when I walk in and say, yeah, okay. But I'll drink a Malbec or a Merlot.
Guests here can browse the gift shop for fun and unique finds. And of course, there's bottles to buy and take home. The Rusty Nail is family friendly. Kids are welcome here too. We found it a great way to relax and unwind.
And on Friday nights, guests can enjoy live music. In Sulphur at the Rusty Nail Winery, I'm Tina McGarry, discovering Oklahoma.
The Rusty Nail is open Tuesday through Saturday from noon to 8. Can't get to Sulphur right away? Don't let that dampen your spirits, because if you're in Oklahoma or Texas, they can ship it to you. We'll link you to all the info to shop online or plan your jaunt at travelok.com/rustynail.
Next, I hear we're headed to your neck of the woods, or should I say forest.
That's right. When I was growing up, there was this weird place in the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge where we used to go to scare each other to death. Videographer Chris Cook and I hiked into the parallel forest to see if it really does take you to another dimension. Hear that sound? It's kind of spooky, isn't it?
So some of the folklore is that it's haunted, or that mysterious things happen when you're in the parallel forest.
That screeching and scratching and other sounds like it that you heard have been spooking folks for decades. But what I want you to know is that this patch of trees was planted with the purpose of preservation.
When they planted it in 1912, I believe the thought was that they would use this for future projects. There wasn't a lot of timber to harvest. They could harvest this for fence posts, I think was the main thing, because in 1912 there still wasn't a fence around the refuge.
Even the name is just a spooky story. Actually called the cedar planting, this 16-acre area has 20,000 red cedar trees planted 6 feet apart in any direction you look.
I had them planted about 6 feet apart so that they grow straight and they kind of delimb themselves. And as you can see, when you're looking around, most everything's straight and most everything's delimbed up to 20 or 30 feet.
And the noises visitors have claimed to hear, those can be explained too.
For every thing that people say is haunted or they say they've been scared by this or that, there's usually something we can tie it back and it's been debunked. Whether it's an elk bugling in the middle of the night, or it's something busting through the weeds, or it's a raccoon calling, or an armadillo digging. It's that sound, that noise you're hearing can be found in nature more than likely. And then the rest of it, if you work yourself up and you want to be scared and you get here, you're probably going to get scared.
But hey, what about this weird-looking stone circle on the edge of the forest? How do you explain that? Quentin says it dates from the brief Wichita Mountain gold rush in the early 1900s.
The miners would harvest rock, they'd bring the rock back to the arastra, and they would turn a larger stone on the inside of that and crush that stone down to finer material, looking for gold.
They did not find gold, so no need to head out on a treasure hunt. The stories of the haunted parallel forest are just that, stories. But there are lots of other great things to see and do on the refuge.
The Holy City Visitor Center, top of Mount Scott, those are all the main attractions. You know, but when you're talking about the wildlife refuge, you always got to remember the mission and the purpose and why we're here. We're here for conserving wildlife and habitat. Right now is a wonderful time to come. The temperature's starting to cool off and the elk are bugling.
So forget the ghost stories, but do keep an eye out for these lovely phantoms. They're the real thing. Even if you don't encounter anything supernatural, there is something bucket listy about visiting such an orderly and uniformed forest. Plan your trek at travelok.com/Wichita Wildlife. The show kind of has me wanting to check over my shoulder.
Well, we are definitely creeping it real.
Coming up, an irresistible phenomenon. That's one of our state's great mysteries.
And then flavors that will haunt you, a neighborhood nosh that keeps guests and ghosts coming back. This and more when Discover Ghostlahoma returns.
What's inside our free Oklahoma travel guide? Artistry for all 5 senses, magic around every bend, and powerful waves of inspiration. Order or download yours at travelok.com.
Welcome back to Discover Ghostlahoma.
We've definitely scared up some hair-raising Halloween haunts around the state this week.
Including this next story exhumed from deep inside the Discover Oklahoma vaults.
Or should we say, from the tombs?
Up next, one of our most watched stories ever. We thought it was well worth digging up.
Come along for the ride on Oklahoma's Magnetic Hill.
Well, I always heard that there was a witch that lived right up there at the end, and she had cast a spell on the road and to keep people away and to push your car back is the reason why that the car rolls back. Is what I heard.
I was also told it was a witch, but I was told that it was the witch's victims pushing you backwards. And if you, like I said, if you use baby powder, you can see the handprints on your bumper, but I've never tried that. Not gonna try that.
But several people, possibly hundreds, have come to this road over the years to experience the strange sensation of Magnetic Hill, the sensation of your vehicle while in neutral rolling uphill all by itself.
Well, it's a pretty cool sensation, you know, because you're just sitting there neutral, then, you know, you start going backwards and it takes you, you go pretty fast. So you get up to about 40 miles an hour, so it's pretty neat.
That shouldn't be happening. And we're speeding up.
While shooting this story, a young Missouri couple stopped on the way to Texas on vacation.
And a few days ago, we saw a video clip of Discover Oklahoma talking about Magnetic Hill. And in looking at our travel plans, we realized it's just a mile or so off of I-35, and we had to try it out. It's working.
You're not doing that?
It's working. Weird.
And try it out they did, a couple of times in fact.
You put it in neutral and you just start slowly going uphill, and you start getting faster and faster. It's a weird feeling. It's a weird experience.
Magnetic Hill. Boy, I don't know. We tried it with some cars, SUVs, the Discover Oklahoma vans, and cyclists. It all worked. Didn't matter what kind of vehicle. Is it the curse of the witch? Is it some sort of magnetic field with which we are not familiar? I don't know, but I think I've actually figured it out. And actually what it is this. It's the electronic... We'll help you find this now famous stretch of pavement at travelok.com/magnetic hill.
Wouldn't it be great if there were more magnetic hills around the state? We could really save on gas.
You know, that's a great idea. Just let the ghosts push the cars around. You might actually be onto something.
Right now we're on to our next stop, where they could patent some of their signature dishes, including a mouth-watering green chili stew.
Plus, they've got a ghostess with the mostest. We're making a beeline to Beeville when this episode of Discover Ghostlahoma returns.
Oklahoma is open. From Salt Plains to Hilltops, more miles of Route 66 with all its iconic stops. Stay a weekend or a week, there's a million ways to play. Dive in or keep your distance. Travel okay, your way.
Welcome back to Discover Ghostlahoma. We've been working the graveyard shift all this week to bring you some spectacular spookiness just in time for Halloween.
You know, you showed great restraint in this show. I haven't had to sit through too many dad jokes. I'm really impressed.
Well, I had a skeleton joke in mind, but I wasn't sure if you'd find it humorous. Right here between...
I spoke too soon.
That's funny.
But it's never too soon to make your way to Bartlesville for cuisine Jason Grubbs and videographer Tommy Evans described as simply to die for.
This is the 1910 Buford & Son building, now home to the delicious restaurant Frank and Lola's right here in downtown Bartlesville. It's also rumored to be home to a spirit dating back to when the building was a hotel and brothel.
It started with, we were sitting out here, the bathroom, women's bathroom door started opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing. No one was here.
Owners Katie and Adam Gilbert first met Estelle the Spirit in 2008 when they opened Frank and Lola's. She's said to be a murdered lady of the night. Their second encounter came just a couple of weeks later.
We came in the next morning, the TV was on, and the paper towels in the women's bathroom were all out of the dispenser.
Another morning, Adam was waiting on a shipment when the doorknob started to rattle, and he saw a shadowy figure.
It appeared for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then it just kind of vaporized.
While Estelle has made her presence known, it seems she's just having a little fun.
Somewhat friendly, just letting us know that she's here.
After all, why would you want to leave when Frank and Lola's food is some of the best in Bartlesville?
I mean, we've got a lot of good options, but this definitely is one of the best.
I come in here a couple times a week.
Kaylee Lakey gets something different every visit, but has her favorites.
Probably the green chili burger and fries, and then sometimes the salmon.
That green chili is the talk of the town. It comes with chunks of tender pork, topped with cheddar, and served with a flour tortilla.
We sell a lot of it. We've won 3 competitions with it.
Adam worked on the recipe for years, always making it from scratch.
It's a little thicker than most green chilies. We finish it with some fresh herbs and spices and things like that.
Get it in a bowl or on a burger.
My 2 favorite burgers are the green chili burger and the melt, what I'm having today.
The melt it's basically like a patty melt, but they've got some Creole mustard and hot peppers, make it really good.
The burgers are really good here, all made with Oklahoma beef raised right up the road in Ramona.
It's fresh ground beef that we get delivered 2-3 times a week, so the burgers are always fantastic.
Good flavors and consistency.
Come today, they get a catfish dinner. They come 3 weeks from now, get the exact same catfish dinner. We just like to keep the consistency.
The crispy calamari is flash fried, drizzled with a sweet Thai chili sauce. Order a refreshing cashew quinoa salad. Or the pan-roasted salmon. It has an Asian flair, served over jasmine rice. The honey pecan chicken salad sandwich is homemade, as is most of the menu, built from Adam's years of culinary experience. But one must-order item came from Katie's side of the family.
The bread pudding, it's actually my mom's recipe that he kind of tweaked a little bit.
My wife and I have come just to have that for dessert. That's how good it is.
I'm Jason Grubbs for Discover Oklahoma.
Because ghouls just want to have fun, you can count on Frank and Lola's. We'll hook you up with all the deets at travelok.com/frankandlolas.
We're so happy you didn't ghost us for this special episode of Discover Oklahoma. Thanks for joining us. It was a treat. So until next time, remember, if it's haunted, flaunt it.
Because there's always something scary to discover in Ghostlahoma. How was that? Did that work?
That worked.
I think that worked. Okay.